What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're going to focus on some big weapon changes coming in Season 19. And even though we're only a few weeks away from the new season, we've learned a bunch about adjustments and tuning for weapons, but there's also new content where we've had teasers for exotics, perk combos and more. But additionally there are some weapon system changes coming up, and some prep worth keeping in mind too. So between tuning and new introductions, there's plenty worth knowing about for the upcoming season. And be sure to give us your thoughts in the comment section about which changes you'd love to see, or any impressions you have on the details Bungie have given us. But without further delay, let's get into it. Starting out with some exciting stuff right here. Of course, Bungie haven't revealed any of the new content for Season 19, but we have a couple of teasers related to weapons. And Bungie have teased two new exotic weapons coming for Season 19. The first is a redacted Season 19 solar exotic weapon, and the second is a Season 19 kinetic exotic weapon, so we have at least a couple right there. And it is possible or even likely that one of those is going to be the Season Pass weapon. Another could come from the dungeon, or even an exotic quest. And I know a lot of us would absolutely love to see more exotic quests, but Bungie also added on the subject of those exotics that they're building anti-champion functionality into one of them. So of course we can only speculate for now as to what those weapons will be like, and I'd love to get any thoughts from you guys in the comment section about what you'd like to see. Next though, the section about stuff that's going to be going away in Season 19, and especially since we have a few weeks of Trials and Nightfalls, and a remaining week of Iron Banner, it's worth bearing in mind that for Season 19, the Forge's Pledge Pulse Rifle and Reese Walker Shotgun from Iron Banner will be taken out of the rotation, meaning they'll no longer be obtainable. For Trials of Osiris, the Ayesha's Embrace Scout Rifle and Reed's Regret Linear Fusion Rifle will be going away. Then for Nightfalls, the Silicon Neuroma Sniper Rifle and Duty Bound Auto Rifle will go out of rotation. And typically Bungie will replace these particular slots with new weapons. They've also said that closer to next season, they'll be sharing more insight into rewards and what players can expect to earn over the coming months. But if you want to grab any of those weapons in the remaining weeks or events, definitely bear them in mind. And moving on, we're going to see some additions to the crafting pool for Season 19. And so legendary Deepstone Crypt weapons will be able to be crafted. That is of course on top of the fact that Season 19 will have its own season weapons which will be craftable, and a new dungeon, which is pretty much guaranteed to have red border weapons as well. But for the Deepstone Crypt, Bungie have said that each encounter will have a chance to drop a deep sight version of a raid weapon. Plus, as always, players will be able to purchase one of them per week at the final chest after defeating Taniks. And then when Deepstone Crypt is the featured raid, in the raid and dungeon rotation, encounter drops will be uncapped. And so when it is featured, we'll be able to run the full raid and each encounter multiple times hunting for deep sight weapons. And on top of that, Bungie have updated the perk pools for some of those weapons, adding in specific perks that will synergize with some of the unique raid perks. And some of the examples it gave for the Heritage Shotgun from the raid, we'll be able to get things like Reconstruction and Focused Fury. The Posterity Hand Cannon will be able to roll Vault Shot as well as Rampage. Plus they give the example of Trustee with Rapid Hit and Incandescent. Plus they'll be adding a new origin trait called Bray Inheritance to those weapons. And so it's pretty exciting, and DMG from Bungie clarified that we will have to earn the red border weapons starting next season, so anything we have currently won't count towards progress on being able to craft those raid weapons. Also on that subject, Bungie had said that starting in Season 19, they plan to have a small number of non-raid weapons get access to perks from older raids. And some of the DSC specific perks like Reconstruction could potentially be added to other weapons, which is pretty cool. Next though, let's speak a little bit about some of the tuning items and sandbox changes for weapons going into the new season. And a weapon type they will be looking at will be linear fusion rifles. They've said that these changes won't necessarily come at the launch of the season, but for things like Lorentz Driver and Arbalist, they're looking at auto-aim reduction, as well as flinch tuning. And they'd said for sniper rifles that they've dramatically increased the time it takes for the reticle to reset back to the center after taking damage, which causes flinch. But they're also increasing the amount of flinch actually received when damage is dealt. And the ultimate goal is that those changes will be added to linear fusion rifles as well. So share any thoughts you have about that. But another exciting one, which could be pretty good, is machine gun balancing. And during Season 19, Bungie want to make machine guns a better heavy option in PvP. But then for PvE, they're seeking to reduce the difference between them and other heavy weapons, and to make them less punishing for ad clearing. And so of course potentially damage buffs, but even ammo and reserve changes could be there as well. And so as we mentioned in a recent video, it could certainly be worth keeping an eye on a few machine guns going into the new season. Another exciting one that Bungie have suggested we'll see in Season 19, but we're waiting for more details on, include that they're looking to allow glaive interactions with some exotic armors that buff melees. And of course, one of the main functions of glaives is that melee attack. but currently no exotics that affect melee damage, such as Syntheseps on the Titans, are able to actually interact with them. So that could be a pretty exciting addition. And on top of that, they're looking at fixing issues with glaive hit detection, and devs have teased that the improvements with hit detection are pretty noticeable, so the plan is to introduce that in Season 19. Another big change which will affect weapons overall will be the arrival of a full auto setting for Destiny 2. And so while currently we have to use the full auto trigger system mod to get weapons full auto, there is going to be a setting that basically applies that to the entire game. And so Bungie are looking to replace the full auto trigger system perk on some weapons, including a bunch of exotics like Traveler's Chosen, where the Catalyst has full auto trigger system and will be replaced with Surplus instead. The same for Vigilance Wing, which we'll see Ensemble instead of full auto, and then there is the No Time to Explain, which will get Feeding Frenzy. And considering they'll still be able to fire full auto with that new setting, those weapons are essentially getting a small buff if you have the Catalyst. But the very final change, which is a fairly significant one given the potency of this weapon in PvE since its arrival in the game, but of course Bungie are nerfing Divinity, and they'll be reducing the weaken effect from 30% to 15% in Season 19. And so Divinity will still be an option, but also it could make things like Tractor Cannon more appealing, and generally increase the kind of team effort required in order to do DPS. We'll certainly be able to offset it one way or another, but the adjustment to Divinity is definitely a divisive one, so share your thoughts on that down below. And for now, that's a pretty good preview of some of the major adjustments we'll be seeing for weapons going into the new season. But of course, much closer to the launch, we'll get specifics about sandbox tuning, which no doubt will touch even more weapons. Bungie have said that they'll actually be touching 26 different exotics going into Season 19, and there'll be a mix of major and more minor changes. So there'll be quite a lot to get our heads around there. And they've also suggested that they'll be looking more at increasing trace rifle ease of use, reducing the ability of snipers to shoot through flinch in PvP, more adjustments to pulse rifles to target certain PvP outliers, looking at ease of use for high-impact scout rifles and precision fusion rifles, reworking enhanced perks and folding spec mods into base perks. So there's certainly more to come, as well as the reveal for new content, but if you wanted a bit of a taster for changes coming up, hopefully the video has been enjoyable, and once again, share any thoughts or feelings you have on specific weapon changes down below, as well as any stuff that you'd like to see in the new season. For today though guys, thank you as always for tuning in. If you've enjoyed the video, a rating below really does help us out. And feel free to get subscribed as well if you want to see more Destiny content moving forward. But otherwise, for today, I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll catch you guys very soon.